Bismillah, tafadhal. Read the next hadith. Bismillah. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasulil Kareem. I told you we're doing random incidents from the life of the Anbiya alayhimu salatu taslim. وعن ابن عباس narrated the authority of the Abbas قال سرنا مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We once traveling with Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم بين مكة والمدينة, between Makkah and Medina. Carry on. Right. فمررنا بواد فقال أي واد هذا. We passed by a valley and Nabi Sallam said أي واد هذا. What valley is this? What's the name? فقالوا وادي الأزرق. You got a dhamma on the ya? Oh, you got a wadi al-azraq. What you got in your kitab, sir? Yeah, that's because this Yaman Qusa. Yaman Qusa, it only comes back in Alate and Nasab, right? So I heard this at the Wadi, I think it's wrong. So Faqalu Wadi al-Azraq, right? Azraq means what? Blue, ne? The valley of blue, maybe there's some rocks that look like blue or something. Carry on. Right. So Nabi Sallallahu said, Ka'anni anzuru ila Musa. You know, sometimes when you've seen something and it has you have a very vivid picture. So you say, I can picture, I can still picture that time when you told me this and you told me that. So Nabi Sallallahu said, Ka'anni anzuru ila Musa. I have a vivid picture of Musa alayhi salam passing through this valley. كأني أنظر إلى موسى فذكر من لونه, and he mentioned his complexion. Remember what his complexion? Adam, brownish, right? وشعره, his hair was a bit curly, very say from other sources. We also learned that Musa was he had African features because he was in Africa, right? شيئا واضعا إصبعيه في أذنيه, whilst he was placing his fingers in his ears. Carry on. You got anything on the gym there? What you got there? I got here walahu juwarun. Right, carry on. Right. For him was a sound, a call out to Allah Ta'ala for the talbiyah. Carry on. Right. Maran, marra yamrufa wa marun ismul fa'il, ne? And this is hal here, like you said, Ja'ani rakiban, he came to me riding. Maran, I have the picture of him passing. Maran, right? Maran bihad al-wadi, through this valley. Carry on. Right then, ثم سرنا, we still traveled with Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam until we came to another Thaniyatul Wada. Remember? We came to a valley, a ravine, right? So you don't have هذه. فقال أي ثانية هذه. What valley is this? قال هرشا. So this is alif maqsura, ne? This is harsha or liftun. Thereby Qurtuba, they got one residence called Lifta. What's called? Lifta, maybe they named after this. You know Qurtuba? Landro Park. How you know about it? Huh? Loud? Your sister? They're in Joburg. Oh, okay. Or the one here, you're talking about the one in P, but it's the one in Joburg. There's Landro Park. The place is called Lifta. I wonder maybe they took it from here. Liftun. Right, Liftun. Correct. So you say now, as though I've got a vivid picture of Yunus alayhi salam. Ka'anni anzuru ila Yunus alayhi salam, right? Yeah. Hamra, Mawsuf Sifat, but Alif, what do you call it? What do you call this now again? Alif with Hamza, Alif Mamduda, Lamati Ta'nis, right? Ala naqatin hamra. I can see Yunus alayhi salam on a reddish camel, right? Carry on. Yeah. عليه جبة صوف عليه جبة صوف. Upon him is a جبة صوف. A jubba like a abaya, like a jubba like a long jacket, like a coat, like how you know the imams of the Haramain wear. More maybe not like they want, more like the like you get the Turkish ones, that long thick one of wool, right? Khulbatun. Khitamu refer to like the bridle. You know when you're riding something, khitamu naqatihi khulbatun, and the bridle of his camel was like from date leaves, right? Maran bihadha al-wadi. He was also passing through this valley, mulabbiyan, reciting talbiyah, talbiyah, labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. Rawahu Muslimun. Imam Muslim narrates this particular riwayat. Okay, so the relevance of this hadith with the chapter is quite obvious. It's just random incidents, information about the Anbiya alayhimu salatu taslim. There's a nice Arabic saying, let me see if I can get it. بِذِكْرِ الصَّالِحِينَ. Who knows it? That when you mention the pious people, then the barakah of Allah Ta'ala rains down. Anybody knows the saying? بِذِكْرِ الصَّالِحِينَ يَنزِلُ الْبَرَكَةُ, or something like that, right? So when you mention the pious servants of Allah Ta'ala, obviously, who were the most pious servants of Allah Ta'ala? None other than the Anbiya alayhimu salatu wa taslim. So when you mention their names, etc., right? Then a barakah. So when we mention these instances, we have some hope, inshallah ta'ala, that we will be blessed with the barakah. Allah ta'ala will send his blessings upon us. We will be inspired by them, etc. Anyway, just a lughwi tahqiq. What does lughwi tahqiq means? The hadith is quite self-explanatory. Lughwi tahqiq, some explanation with regards to the words. It's called lughwi tahqiq. Tahqiqun lughawiyatun. The first one is واضعا إصبعيه في أذنيه له جوار. جوار, yeah, it says in the Shara with a dhamma on the jim, right? And then there's a Hamza. Juwarun. It means a loud or echoing voice, right? Khitamun, something that you put in the camel to control the camel. Same like what? Zimamun, khitamun. And here it's also mentioned made from. It's actually a rope khitam. Sorry. Yeah, so this is the word I told you. Khitam is like a bridle. Khulbatun, interesting, means a rope woven from the date leaves. Imagine the date leaf, maybe it's dried out, and it's woven into the rope. Obviously, that time there's no industry, etc. Right? Khulbatun. Mulabbiyan, I told you to recite the talbiyah. You do this in fiqh, talbiyah. Yeah, interesting thing the Shari mention. He says, look, when you pass away, you're not mukallaf anymore, right? You are not mukallaf anymore. You don't have to do ibadat. But it's mentioned also, if you remember there's a hadith, we done this here also. When a person is put in his qabr, you are so, a person that is accustomed to reading salah, he doesn't read his salah. When maybe sometime, maybe if he's very sick or whatever, and the time of Salah is going out, he feels very uncomfortable. He wants to read his Salah because his whole life is reading Salah. He doesn't miss his Salah. So it's mentioned also in the hadith, you done it, when a person is in his qabr and he see the sun setting, then he say, hey, I need to read my Asr namaz, the sun is setting. And the angels say, no, you don't have to read your Asr namaz. Now you've done your duty already. You've done your duty. You performed your duty. You executed your duty to the best of your ability. Now it's time for you to rest. And the person will rest. But on that note, ulama mentioned that Allah Ta'ala will allow the pious servants to engage ibadat in the alam barzakh, not as ibadat as an ibadat, because ibadat is finished, but just as a favor to them. And here, the way this hadith is explained is that these Anbiya alayhi salatu taslim in the alam barzakh, they were also, remember that famous hadith um, we done Bawal Isra wal Ma'raj, that Nabi Sallallahu when he was going, and he passed by Musa alayhi salam in his qabr reading the Salat, etc. Remember? The same thing. Because so these are it's like a favor of Allah Ta'ala to allow pious people to engage in ibadah. And this is not darul amal, just to fulfill their desire for pleasure. Remember, we said that the bodies of the Anbiya and the Shuhada does not disintegrate. Inna Allah haram al-ardi an ta'kula ajsad al-anbiya wa shuhada. So the bodies are still intact. Like that also, there are many stories you must have read, especially in places where they have to reuse, they have to recycle the qubur when they exhumed, or they dig open the qabr to see to bury another person, find that the body is still fresh, right? So this is something from the alam barzakh that Nabi Sallallahu was speaking about. Okay, read the next one. Got tusraju, ne? What you got tusraju? I also got fatusrahu. What you got? But just check this word afterwards, inshallah. I got tusrahu, right? Beautiful hadith, Rawal Bukhari. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The right now authority of Abu Hurairah. He said that خُفِّفَ عَلَى دَاوُدْ الْقُرْآنُ. Here take Quran to mean not the meaning of our Quran, but just as Quran is means makru on something which is read. So you mean the holy book of Islam, which was the Torah. So it was made easy upon Dawud alayhi salam, the Torah, to recite it. فَكَانَ يَأْمُرُ بِدَوَابِهِ. So command what is like, bring my horse, let it be saddled, etc. But tusrahu, and we got some tusraju. But just check here in this Bushra Prad, what is there? Yeah. Tusraju also in the Bushra Prad they got, right? Your book, what is it got? I think Tusraju makes more sense. Just check Saraja means also because saddle means turuj also, so it makes more sense that, right? فيقرأ القرآن, he should recite the whole Quran قبل أن تسرج دوابه. So from the time he should give instruction that my horse must be saddled up. By the time they finish, you'd have read all of the Torah already by then, right? وَلَا يَأْكُلُ إِلَّا مِنْ عَمَلِ يَدَيْهِ, and he would not eat except from the actions of his hands. رواه البخاري, Imam Bukhari narrates this. First thing I tell you, قَرَأَ يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنُ comes in مَقْرُوعٌ. So the question mustn't come in your mind, how come here the Quran? Quran was revealed to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So it means whatever book was read in his time, it was, the Zabur, Tawrat was to Musa alayhi salam, and Zabur was revealed to Dawud alayhi salam, right? So this was a miracle. It was a miracle. Allah Ta'ala is something you see, everything has a length, it has a breadth. Like if you look at time, just a simple example to understand this. If you look at a minute, it has 60 seconds. So that is the length of the minute. But the breadth, or you can say the barakah, Allah Ta'ala can put barakah in that. So Allah Ta'ala expands the breadth. So the minute is still there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But Allah Ta'ala expands the barakah. So you can achieve much more in lesser time. It's mentioned also, I remember correctly, there's also a saying that as Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he's to mount the horse, by the time he gets, he puts his one foot into the stirrup, to sraj. Okay, means to saddle up. Is it? Yeah. Both. No, yes, Saraha doesn't make sense. So it's mentioned about Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, when he's to put his one foot on the stirrup, by the time he put his other foot in the stirrup, he will complete the Quran. And it's also mentioned about Shah Ismail Shaheed, one of the elders of the ulama of Deoban, that he used to sit after Asr by the Jamna River in Delhi. And by Maghrib time, you'd have completed an entire recitation of the Quran. So Allah Ta'ala gives barakah also. Allah Ta'ala gives barakah to his servants. If you look at Muhammad Ashraf Ali Tanwi, he wrote over 1,000 books in his lifetime. Some of them huge, some of them voluminous. Forget about to write those books. We can't even read those books in our whole lifetime. So as a miracle, Allah Ta'ala give barakah. And when do you get barakah in your time? When do you get barakah in your time? When there is consistency, when there's punctuality. It's mentioned with regards to just on this point here, Mulana Ashraf Ali Than Hakim al Ummah, when his Ustad, Sheikh al Hind, Mulana Mahmoud al Hassan came to visit him. So obviously his Ustad, and he was sitting with his Ustad, and he said, just excuse me for a few minutes. He told his Ustad and everybody, excuse me for a few minutes. So he went for about 2-3 minutes. He came back. I asked him, like, what happened? He said, this is normally the time I write my tafsir of the Quran, Bayanul Quran, exceptional tafsir of the Quran. Many of the ulama, they revert to it. So he said, you know what? This is the time I normally write my Quran tafsir. And now my Ustad is here. I can't leave him. But at the same time, I don't want to break my pattern. So I just went and I wrote few words. So at least I'm still fulfilling my tartib. I'm still following my timetable. So you see, when you follow your timetable, that's when you have barakah. So you must do things in order. You must do things. Is everything okay? So when you do things properly, in order, and you follow the timetable, then you have barakah. So here you can see this was a miracle of. Interesting thing is you find also many a times in the Sahaba Ikram and the Awliya, the miracles that Allah Ta'ala granted the Anbiya, they manifest itself in the pious servants, of the Ummah, etc. So I was telling you, this is what in Arabic it was Tayyul Waqt. Allah Ta'ala, when you was dictionary, I was telling him that time has a length and a breadth. Allah Ta'ala expands the breadth. So there's still 60 seconds in a minute. Doesn't that mean it's 120 seconds in a minute or 200 seconds in a minute? It's still 6 seconds, but the breadth of it expands, meaning Allah Ta'ala put barakah in that. This is called tayyul waqt. What do you call it? Like that also, there's something called tayyul ard. Allah Ta'ala makes it as such that a person can traverse a long distance in a short time. So remember these words here, tayyul ardi and tayyul waqti. How many stories are there of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, Imam Abu Hanifa, etc.? They recited the whole Quran in one night, etc. This is called tayyul waqt. We Allah Ta'ala put barakah in the breadth of the time. Okay, read the next hadith. Interesting hadith. Next one. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Let's look at this riwayat. وعنه, also on the authority of Abu Huraira radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says that عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كانت امرأتان عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كانت امرأتان, there's two women, right? معهما ابناهما, between them they had two children, right? فجاء الذئب, then a wolf came, فذهب بابن إحداهما, it snatched the child of one of them too, right? فقالت صاحبتها إنما ذهب بابنك. So the one said to the other, it's your baby that was gone. Now, each one knew who their baby was. Each one knew their baby, but they didn't want to face the loss. So she said, no, you took, the wolf took your baby. She said, no. And the one that obviously whose baby was still there, she said, no, look, it's my baby, right? The wolf took your baby. وقال أخرى إنما ذهب بابنك. No, you went with your baby. فتحاكما إلى داود عليه السلام. تحاكما, they raised the case. They took the case to Dawud alayhi salam. فقضى به للكبرى. So he made the decision in favor of the elder one. فخرجتا, so he made, I'm not sure on what basis he made, but he made decision. فخرجتا على سليمان ibn Dawud. They went to Sulaiman alayhi salam, right? فأخبرتاه, so he informed them, they too informed, this is what happened. فقال, Ituni bisikini. So he probably had some basis for what he made a decision. But anyway, Sulaiman said, bring me a knife. Ashukkuha bainakuma. Since both of you are fighting for this baby, I'm going to cut it in half and I'm going to give you half and you half, right? Ashukkuha bainakuma. فقالت الصغرى, the small one said, لا تفعل. Don't do this. يرحمكم الله. I'm making a false claim. Don't do this, right? يرحمهم. هو ابنها, it is hers, the biggest, right? فقضى به للصغرى, and he made a decision in favor of the younger one. متفق عليه, as a متفق عليه riwayat. She understood the reasoning. Who will be the first one to object? The true mother, because she's going to feel more compassion for a child. You say, okay, child to love, so no, give it to her. I drop my case. I drop my case. To see the wisdom of Sulaiman alayhi salam, was a very wise person. So Ibn Ahuma, he said this was in the time of Hazrat Dawud alayhi salam. They say probably maybe they were sisters, or maybe they were co-wives that were traveling somewhere when this transpired. And initially they went to Dawud alayhi salam. So the wolf snatched the baby from one of them too. And hence this discussion, or maybe this dispute, ensued. One was one was elder than the other. So the elder one said, look here, the baby that was stolen was yours. And the one that remains here is mine. So this is my baby. And then the elder one just took possession of the baby. So he took the smaller ones, the younger lady's baby, so to say, right? And obviously this is when this was, and the young was saying, it's my baby. So normally when there is no evidence, or sorry, there's no witnesses, then you look at circumstantial evidence. And here the baby was in the hands of the elder lady. Hence Hazrat Dawud alayhi salam made a decision in her favor. Right. So this was what we say a decision that was based upon his own analysis. It was not wahi. Because if it was wahi, then Sulaiman alayhi salam couldn't break the decision. He couldn't go against the decision. You know what I'm saying? So in reality, the baby belonged to the younger lady, and it was only in the hands of the elder lady, right? So yeah, interesting thing they mentioned here. From this, you can see that the Qadi can also make decisions based upon the Zahir. The Qadi can also make decisions based like how here Dawud alayhi salam and Sulaiman alayhi salam made. Okay, let's just do another one more hadith before we wrap it up. Like I mentioned, these were random instances from the life of the Anbiya alayhi salatu wa taslim. Let's just do another one hadith before we switch over, inshallah. Read the next hadith. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Also in the Tariq of Abu Huraira, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم said, قال سليمان, once Sulaiman said, لأطوفن الليلة على 90 امرأة. Tonight I'm going to visit, right, my, what? 90, my 90 wives, right? وفي رواية, بِمِئَةِ امْرَأَةٍ. I want to visit 100 of my wives. Right? كُلُّ inshallah كُلُّنَّ تَأْتِي بِفَارِسٍ. Each one will give birth to a horseman, a mujahid, right? Yujahidu fi sabilillah, that will make jihad in the path of Allah Ta'ala. فَقَالَ لَهُ الْمَلَكُ. And he said, قُلْ inshallah, say if Allah Ta'ala wish, وَلَا تَقُولَنَّ لِشَيْءٍ إِنِّي فَاعِلٌ ذَلِكَ غَدًا إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. فَلَمْ يَقُلْ وَنَسِيَ. He didn't say he forgot. It was the back of his mind, he must say inshallah, but he forgot. فطاف عليهن. He visited all 90 or 100 of his wives. فلم تحملهن إلا امرأة واحدة. None of them conceived except one wife. جاءت بشق رجل. Literal translation, that wife brought the portion of a person. What it means? It means like an incomplete fetus. Maybe miscarried. That shiq means portion. اتقوا النار ولو بشق تمرة. Fear the fire even as a portion of a date. They brought the incomplete fetus, maybe 3 months, 4 months. She aborted at that, right? Right? Bishir. وأيم الذي نفس النبي صلى I take a qasam by the one who نفس محمد بيده. The life of Muhammad is in. لو قال إن شاء الله, if you say inshallah, لجاهدوا في سبيل الله. All of this children, that would, the result of children from his visit, they would have fight in Allah Ta'ala for a son, and they would have been expert horsemen. أجمعون, all of them متفق عليه. is a متفق عليه رواية. So from this hadith, you learn also when you make ziyarat, when you make tawaf at night, what intention must you make? When you make tawaf at night time by your wife, what intention must you make? Must make intention like Sulaiman alayhi salam, inshallah, that the children that will be born from this union, they will become ulama, they will become da'is, they will become qurra, they will become muballighin, they will become mujahideen, they will become da'in. Inshallah, then you will get the reward of that also. You will get the reward of that. You'll be making tawaf, but you'll be getting reward. You understood that? We learned from Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam. So he forgot to say, not intentionally, he just forgot. So Allah Ta'ala wanted to teach us a lesson. وَلَا تَقُولَنَّ لِشَيْءٍ إِنِّي فَاعِلٌ ذَلِكَ غَدًا إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. I tell you, shiq means like a incomplete baby. In this case here, it means like an aborted fetus. Mentioned that his servant brought and said, see, this is one of your wives gave birth to this here. And this is actually the explanation of the verse. You know the verse in the Quran? وَأَلْقَيْنَا عَلَى كُرْسِيِّهِ جَسَدًا ثُمَّ أَنَابَ. That we threw upon his kursi, on his throne, a body, ثُمَّ أَنَابَ. Then he realized his folly, that he's supposed to say inshallah. And then we say, yeah, we won't say it's a mistake or a sin. It was just like how we say, the normal usul, the usul. We've done this several times. We say, khilaf ya awla. What was it? You done an inappropriate thing, not an open sin, by not reciting inshallah. So this here in the Sharah, the Shareef mentioned that this is the correct tafsir of the stone. There is a lot of wrong tafsirs. There's very, what you say, right word to say, negative tafsirs implicating Al-Sulaiman salam, wrongdoing, etc. All of that is not the correct tafsir. In fact, here is a tafsir of Maududi, but okay, I don't have to go into that. Here, Abul A'la al-Maududi, he gave a very, was a scathing tafsir of this, which is correct. Incorrect. This is the correct tafsir, right? So suffice with that. Okay, we stop there, inshallah. Now we switch over to the Hidayah Shareef, inshallah. You do your fiqh now, inshallah.